with great prizes on the line. It's a game-changing night for KC Youth, helping Sharewaves impact kids through the power of sports. Sign up today at sharewavesfoundation.org.
WHB Kansas City.
Coming in for a game this fall, the Inn at Meadowbrook offers the perfect location. Why not take advantage of all the great sports coming up in KC by enjoying a staycation in Kansas City's only resort-like setting, the Inn at Meadowbrook. It's the perfect spot to establish your home base for all the big games. The Inn at Meadowbrook is nestled in the middle of parkland, lakes, and trails in the heart of Meadowbrook Park, located just 15 minutes from Kansas City's attractions. Feel free to give them a call at 913-329-9000 or make your reservation online at innatmeadowbrook.com.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk.
1 minute.
SCAN.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
We had a fantastic NFL quadruple header last Sunday. We figured we'd do it again. Get started at 8:30 Sunday morning with the Jacksonville Jaguars and Chicago Bears live from London. At noon, the Commanders take on the Baltimore Ravens, followed by the Lions and the Cowboys. Then we'll wrap up your NFL quadruple header with Sunday Night Football, the Bengals and Giants. You're home for the NFL and NFL quadruple headers. Sports Radio 810
10 seconds.
Sports talk powered by fans. Sports Radio 810 WHB Kansas City. The power of sports.
America's largest all-sports radio station presents the #1 motorsports show for over 2 decades. Track Talk, brought to you by Rod & Supply and the Power Ride Midwest Lightning Sprints. Here are the racing boys, Scott Traylor and Kirk Elliott.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Mostly Motors or Track Talk here on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Yeah, we got a little bit of feedback coming back, but we got that taken care of. How you doing, Scott?
I'm doing all right, Kirk. How you doing?
Yeah, it's it's still summertime out there. We could be racing to Christmas, maybe. Will we ever see the fall?
Today, it's going to be 91 degrees, Kirk. Do you believe that?
Hard to believe, isn't it?
And tomorrow, it's supposed to be 72.
Well, that's more like it. 72 is
right.
where it ought to be this time of the year. So you and I were out at I-70 Speedway on Tuesday night. Big night of high-limit sprint car racing. Wing sprint cars on the track at I-70. Brad Sweet winning the race. Boy, there was a lot of heavy hitters out there on Tuesday night, weren't there?
Brad Sweet has won 3 in a row, Kirk. How about that?
Yeah, after last night's win at Texas Motor Speedway dirt track, and then night after I-70 he goes to Wheatland, Lucas Oil Speedway, and wins there.
He wins at I-70 Speedway. He wins at Lucas Oil Speedway, and he wins at Texas Motor Speedway.
Did that last night.
How about that?
Yeah, he pocketed.
He's on a roll right now, isn't he?
Right. $20,000 to win on Tuesday night at I-70. $25,000 to win at Lucas Oil Speedway, and tonight, if he makes it 4 in a row, that's $50,000. So
right.
He's piling up the money. He'd already had the high limit championship under wraps. He'd settled that score even before he showed up at I-70 Speedway with the 2 rainouts at Florence and Atomic Speedway. So Sweet now has 6 straight national sprint car championships, including the 5 in a row he won with the World of Outlaws, and now with the High Limit Series. And after he gets that championship in the bag, focuses on winning, and he's on fire. Scott, he went months without winning a race. He won, he swept out at Lakeside Speedway the Cup weekend in May. He won another race in May, and then he went, 4 months before he won another race?
He's on a tirade right now,
so
isn't he?
He and the Casey Kane team have it going on now.
Christmas ain't cheap, guys. Christmas is coming soon.
He needs some money.
He hadn't pocketed, like Kirk said, he hadn't pocketed a lot since Lakeside back in the summer, so I'm sure his wife said, hey, we got Christmas coming. It's October, and we need to get the wins in there. But you're right. Talk about a roll. Christmas will be fine. Here's what I think it is. You need to make sure, obviously, his brother-in-law is Kyle Larson, right?
Right.
So you got bragging rights coming in to the holiday season, right? When nobody's racing, you're going to have to at least you can say, hey, I finished my season strong. I can see the conversation at the dinner table right now.
Right.
Well, I said this a few months back. Brad Sweet is kind of dividing his attention just a little bit. He's not only a race car driver, but he's also a promoter. So when it
he's
was
locked up the championship, hadn't he?
I think he locked up the championship after he served as a promoter. Building up the Gold Cup at Silver Dollar Speedway. He was working on the promotions of that and some other things that was kind of dividing his attention just a little bit. And I made this, if you remember, we had Chase Rodman on our Mostly Motorsports show right after the Gold Cup. And I said to Chase, now the Gold Cup's out of the way and he's no longer a promoter, watch Brad Sweet start to take off right now. And that's what he did.
He is 321 points ahead of Tyler Courtney.
That's more than enough.
I think that's locked. I think it's got it locked up.
Well, he officially locked it up before he came to I-70 Speedway. So the midweek points championship for the high limit was still up in the air, though, and they had to go to the second tiebreaker to determine that Sunshine, Tyler Courtney, won the midweek title.
Hey, Kirk, a lot of people thought that Rico Abreu and Brad Sweet were going to battle it out for the championship. And Rico has ended up, he's third in points. He's 324 points back. And everybody thought that Rico and Brad Sweet was going to battle for that championship, didn't they?
Yeah, that before the season began, people asked who was going to be Brad Sweet's chiefest challenger, because I think everybody favored Brad Sweet to win the first high limit title. But I think everybody thought that Rico Abreu was going to be that guy. He had a stellar 2023 season, and he's won some big races this year, too. But the consistency just hasn't been there for Rico. And that's been the problem for he and his 24 team. They've run well at times this year, but other times not so well. And that's why he lost the championship and really wasn't a contender for it the whole season.
Kirk, wouldn't you think that Corey Day would be in the mix of that thing?
Yes, and like Rico, he had a lot of great
Corey
runs
Day is
as well.
531 points behind.
And he's won a lot of races. Corey Day's won a lot of races this year, but the same thing that we said about Rico. The consistency just wasn't there.
Right.
Brad Sweet, if he wasn't winning, which he went, 4 months without winning, he was still running well enough to stay ahead of the rest of the pack. He wasn't having any bad finishes. That's where Brad Sweet was. Too many bad finishes for both Rico and Corey, even though their win total was pretty impressive, both of them.
Do you have a little sound there, Kirk?
I do. We can play some of this now and some of it in the third segment. We have the sound from I-70 on Tuesday night. Let's hear from Brad Sweet. We're going to hear from him twice here because I also talked to him after he won down at Lucas Oil Speedway. But here is his comments following his victory Speedway on Tuesday night at I-70 Speedway when I asked him, you found the bottom. That was the trick, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, going out there, I wasn't sure which line was going to be, the right line. But the bottom, kind of, Tim's actually showed me the bottom. I mean, I was thinking, man, I don't know if we can all keep bringing around this top because it felt like we were really getting the tires hot. So I was kind of one corner away from probably trying the bottom, and then Tim slid across my nose, and he surprised me that he went back to the top because, I was able to get to the bottom and get by him. So, I committed to the bottom then and kind of just tried to work my way up through those guys. And luckily I was the first one to kind of really get it going. And then, my car was really good too. So keeping your tires cool on the bottom and just picking my, lanes and lap traffic. And, just car's been really good lately and a lot of fun to drive tonight.
Seemed to have no problem slicing through the lap traffic with green checker. Did you have any issues at all?
I mean, there was a couple, guys that were kind of running my line that I had to be real patient with. But in those situations, you don't want to get, too. I guess you just want to stay patient with them and pick your, just be ready to attack when the moment, presents itself instead of, overthinking it or trying too hard. So, just was really happy that I was able to pick my way through there, keep my tires under me, and just had a solid all-around race and race car. And, just cool to win $20,000 on a Tuesday night. And our midweek money series, we were close, but came down to a tiebreaker and we lost. But, that's what makes it fun. This series has been a lot of fun this year. It's been a breath of fresh air for me. So, just had a lot of fun tonight.
You've been running really well here lately. A third-place finish at the National Open the other night. How much confidence did that give you coming in?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, you could go back. When we started running good, kind of on the West Coast. We were close at Skagit, really good at Port Royal all week, okay at Lernerville, I guess, so to speak. But then, Eldora, we were good at the National Open, good tonight. So it's kind of just been chipping away at all the little details that, kind of separate thirds from firsts. And, tonight the things went our way and our car was good.
You won the overall championship. You already got that in your back pocket now. How much of a load is that off your shoulders?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, we've been in these situations for a few years now with winning 5, World of Outlaw championships that, I don't know that I was ever too stressed, but it is, kind of a nice stress relief once you do officially have it. So, just really happy that we have that locked up. It makes these last few races and last, week of the season, a lot less stressful, and just kind of get to enjoy the time with the crew guys and my family.
That is Brad Sweet following his victory on Tuesday night out at I-70.
Kirk, we have to talk about Ryan Timms taking over the 10 ride. Scott Boguski's out.
And Boguski qualified for the Knoxville Nationals in that ride. So he'd been running well, and that's a good race car. Shane Liebig in that 10 car. It was supposed to originally be a 2-race deal, Tuesday night at I-70, Wednesday at Lucas Oil Speedway. But it extended after, as well as he ran in that car.
Right.
The first 2 nights, they put him in that car down at Texas Motor Speedway last night, and he had a very good run last night.
Hey, Kirk, the 69K of Darren Pittman, he put a lot of pressure on Brad Sweet, didn't he?
Last night at Texas Motor Speedway.
Right.
He did have it. And by the way, where was the 69 Kreitz car at I-70 and Lucas Oil Speedway? They were not there. You'd think if they were coming out from Pennsylvania to run at Texas Motor Speedway in the weekend, wouldn't you think they would have made a visit to I-70 and Lucas Oil Speedway? That car was not at either one of those two places. So I was very surprised when I saw him down at Texas Motor Speedway last night that from Pennsylvania, they also weren't at I-70 or Lucas Oil Speedway. But let's go back to Ryan Timms, who is one of the youngest really stellar driving talents in America. I think, was he still 18 years old?
He's 18. Yep.
And he's running full-time for Keith Kunz Motorsports in a midget this year, too, and has parked the family ride for a while.
I think that Ryan Timms is one of the up-and-coming drivers.
Oh, there's no question about it.
And Corey Day is another one of those drivers.
And Tuesday night at I-70 Speedway, he showed Brad Sweet where to go the other night. Ryan Timms had a fast enough race car to win both at I-70 and Lucas Oil Speedway and another fast car last night. Let's first hear from Ryan Timms, who ended up in second place at I-70 Speedway on Tuesday night.
I think caution or Sweet making a big enough mistake to let me reel him back in, but I kind of showed him the bottom there, and then he quickly mastered it and just drove away.
Yeah, that was the key, wasn't it? Because everybody else started up on the high side, didn't they?
Yep, everyone was up top, and then I got underneath him on the bottom there and moved back up, and then he passed everybody on the bottom.
Tell us about this car you're driving. How'd you get this right?
It kind of came up about a week ago. Just hit us up and figured, this car's beat me before, and so I figured it had to have been a pretty good piece, and sure enough, we get out here, and it was a rocket ship. So we only got one more race planned with them tomorrow, but after tonight, that could change. So.
And I'm telling you something right now, tonight, Ryan Timms has a shot to win that 50 grand tonight as well as they're running in that ride.
Kirk, do you think the real reason that ride come available is because of money? Do you think?
That could be part of it, but I think it's mostly talent. Because I talked to those guys after the races on Wednesday night down at Lucas Oil Speedway, and they were focusing more on how much talent Ryan Timms has. They want to win. They know they have a good race car, but they want to win too. But I think it has more to do with Ryan Timms' talent than money. But I'm not saying money is not part of the equation.
Money is the part of everything, Kirk. You bring a little money, you get a ride. That's how it works.
But I think with Ryan Timms, it has more to do with his driving talent, why he's in that car. But that's just my opinion. Finally, let's hear from James McFadden, who finished in third place in the Roth 83 car.
I was kind of pretty one-dimensional out there. I was kind of just stuck around the top. I got by Tyler on the bottom, and I just couldn't run it as hard as the two guys in front of me could run the entry, and that's all she wrote. I think if I just stayed on the top pounding it, I would have been okay. I was kind of trying to save my tyre because I wore my tyre out pretty bad in the dash. And, just try and control a little bit of wheel spin on exit, which you always do in the feature anyway. And Tyler was leading, and I was a lot faster than him, and I was trying to save my tyre, so I thought, man, we're in a good spot. And by that stage, Brad showed his nose and was gone. We just kind of didn't play the race out right, and then I got kind of stuck.
There is James McFadden. We'll hear the sound from Lucas Oil Speedway a little bit later on in the hour, but that's how the top finishers felt after Tuesday night at I-70.
What were the track conditions like at Lucas Oil Speedway?
Excellent.
Were they good?
They were really good.
Really good.
Yeah, good track conditions at Lucas Oil Speedway. Ever since they added the dirt down there in the off-season last year, It's really helped that racetrack. There's really only been one night that I can remember where it was taken on rubber. You were down there the Thursday night of the Jesse Hockett Daniel McMillan Memorial, and they maybe overwatered it the next night. It was perfect Saturday night down there. Wednesday night, it was great track conditions, I thought.
Right.
So, anyway, we'll hear from Brad Sweet and second-place finisher Tyler Courtney a little bit later on in the hour.
We've also got interviews that we did with Carson Macedo.
He's a big winner from this past weekend.
Chase Rodman and Connor Wade as well.
How about Carson Macedo? $75,000 to win the National Open, his second National Open win at Williams Grove Speedway last Saturday night. So we'll hear from Carson about his thoughts about winning a crown jewel event for the World of Outlaws, which, by the way, they weren't in action last night, but they'll be in action tonight at Lincoln Speedway in Pennsylvania. So we'll see how Carson Macedo will do. The other hot driver, Buddy Kofoid, we got him booked for Monday's Mostly Motorsports show.
Right.
So we'll hear from all of these drivers.
And College Game Day is coming up next here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. It's Danny and Stan.
Top of the hour.
Right.
And we'll have exclusively Hour 2, as we always do, on Racing Boys on our Facebook and YouTube pages. Hey, I just want to, before we go to break, I just want to touch on some late model news. We're getting down to it for the Lucas Oil Championship. They'll settle that score at Eldora Speedway next Saturday night for the Dirt Track World Championship. Last night at Brownstown Speedway, the C.J. Rayburn Memorial, it was Ricky Thornton Jr. reemerging back to the top of the heap, and now he's the points leader heading into tonight's Jackson 100. Of course, you all know that if you follow dirt late model racing, Ricky Thornton Jr. was bounced out of his ride with SSI Motorsports. Hudson O'Neill eventually took that ride. Fired after winning all those races.
Right.
Kohler Motorsports hired him. And, they've struggled just a little bit trying to get things together. But last night, Ricky Thornton Jr. found his way to victory lane. That's a big win as we just got, 2 more races to go to settle this championship.
Hey, Kirk, Ryan Gustin won out there at I-70 Speedway as well, didn't he?
MLRA, the Lucas Oil MLRA in action on Thursday night at I-70 Speedway, and Ryan Gustin dominated.
Were you a little surprised by the car count?
No, not I-70. This is why they're going to build a smaller racetrack at I-70 Speedway.
Right. They need to do that.
Yeah.
They need to build that smaller track in the infield at I-70 Speedway.
That's what they're going to do.
Do you think that's a good idea, Kurt?
Yes, it's the only idea. Now, I like half-mile racetracks as much as anybody. I love them.
The problem with I-70 Speedway is people have to keep their foot down on the gas.
Yeah.
And that wears out their equipment.
Well, if you watch the race at I-70 on Thursday night, those cars were getting a little hot there. Gustin down in Victory Lane had idled the car just a little bit, make sure it cooled down before he shut it off. So they were getting hot on Thursday night out there. So they're hanging the throttle on those cars at I-70. And and I think that affects the car count. I think that's one of the big reasons why you only had 15 late models show up out there. So
that's why we see low car counts out at I-70 Speedway, because a lot of people don't want to run out there.
Yeah, because
the track is too big.
The prime example of that, Lucas Oil Late Model Show a couple of years ago, Brandon Shepard, while leading the race, blew an engine. And it was a hot night, and everybody's car was getting hot. And when they're hanging the throttle on that fast of a racetrack, there's some half-mile racetracks where you let off the throttle, let off the gas, you have to get through. Not at I-70. You're pounding it pretty hard around that racetrack.
Stephen St. John was out there at I-70 Speedway, wasn't he?
Boy, it was great to see Stephen St. John out at the racetrack on Tuesday night. It was kind of in between the Chiefs on Monday and the Royals on Wednesday. So, yeah, it was great to see STJ out at the racetrack on Tuesday night. You and I had a good time celebrating the 50th or the 25th anniversary of Sports Radio 810 on Monday night. We saw a lot of our good friends down at Sports Radio 810, so that was fun.
At Nick and Jake's?
Yeah.
Yep, that was a good time.
Hey, by the way, just finishing up the late models, they had the MLRA racing at the Tri-City Speedway near St. Louis last night, and Chris Simpson won the season finale, but his brother Chad Simpson won the championship, just to put a bow on the MLRA late models from this weekend. So congratulations to Chad Simpson, the champion of the Lucas Oil MLRA.
All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, more of Track Talk. It's all brought to you by Rod End Supply, featuring the POWRi Midwest Lightning Sprints. When we come back, Carson Macedo joins us next here on Track Talk.
Track Talk. Rod End Supply is involved with a variety of motorsports as well as industrial applications with many different types of products. Since 1989, Rod End Supply has provided superior products priced competitively. Whether you're racing at the circle track or drag strip, rock climbing, or going off-road, Rod End Supply has an assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products to keep your equipment moving. Rod End Supply's experienced staff is ready and willing to help you with your needs. Their promise is to continue to provide a superior product with superior service so you can stay in front of the field no matter what it is. To learn more, go to rodendsupply.com.
You're always better with a roof from JR.
We've had more than our fair share of hail and wind this year. Are you playing roofer roulette? That's when you bet your roof and your home on the first random roofer to ring your doorbell. Why do that when JR and Company offers a free hail and wind report online at jrstormcheck.com. Just plug in your address and we'll pull a multi-year storm report. You'll know exactly what your roof has been put through and if you even need an inspection. If you do, no one is more thorough and works better with your insurance than locally owned, veteran-owned JR and Company. And if you need a new roof, remember, a roof from JR comes with a lifetime warranty on workmanship. Don't play roofer roulette with your home. Visit jrstormcheck.com. And remember,
you're always better with a roof from JR.
Visit jrstormcheck.com.
ICON is seeking healthy men and women ages 18 to 55 to participate in a clinical research study at our facility in Lenexa, Kansas. Non-smokers or light smokers allowed. Women must be of non-childbearing potential. Volunteers must be available for 1 stay of 9 nights and 3 outpatient visits. Qualified participants may receive compensation of $7,150 for time and travel. Call ICON today at 913-210-5900. That's 913-210-5900.
When Kansas City wins, you win too with the Red Zone and Sports Radio 810 WHB. Go to 810WHB.com to find great specials you can take advantage of all season long after every big win. Get exclusive savings and discounts at our participating business partners. The special discounts are good the day after every win until close of business. Celebrate the wins and you win too with the Red Zone. Go to 810WHB.com and click on the Red Zone banner to rack up the savings.
Hey guys, Sterling Holmes here, and I'm going to tell you about my friends at El Bandito Yankee Tequila. Now, I was not a tequila guy, just not my personal go-to. But the first time I tried El Bandito Yankee Tequila, I was blown away. It is so smooth. It is phenomenal. And the reason why is because it's an ultra-premium tequila made from only 100% Blue Weber agave from the highlands of Jalisco, Mexico. There's no fake colorings or flavors in their verified additive-free Blanco and Reposado. It's why they won platinum and gold medals and are now listed as one of the world's top tequilas in Rolling Stone magazine. El Bandito Yankee Tequila, so smooth, it's criminal. Pick it up at your local store or ask for it at your favorite restaurant or bar. Make sure you visit elbanditoyankee.com. There's no better way to celebrate your team's victory than with the great taste of El Bandito Yankee Tequila, the official tequila of game day. Again, visit El Bandito Yankee.
1 minute.
Suffer from prostate symptoms like difficulty urinating, trips to the bathroom at night, or feel a frequent need to go? I'm Dr. Travis Brown with Miva Medical. If you suffer from prostate symptoms or have been told you may need surgery for an enlarged prostate, I'd like to offer you a new, minimally invasive option to shrink your prostate and reduce or eliminate your symptoms. It's a simple, outpatient procedure covered by insurance. No stitches, no surgery, just relief. If you're interested in learning more, visit us online at miva-medical.com. That's MIVA-medical.com.
Get ready for your next adventure during the Big O
30 seconds.
Off-road sale. For a limited time, score up to $100 in instant savings on some of the best tire brands in the industry. Plus, Big O Tires offers expert service on brakes, alignments, oil changes, and more. No matter what kind of service your vehicle needs, Big O Tires has got you covered. They also have flexible financing options, including
10 seconds.
Just for qualified buyers. Visit one of their locally owned locations today. Make an appointment right now at BigOTires.com. Big O Tires, the team you trust.
Welcome back. It's Track Talk here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. And, Kirk, we had a chance to talk to Carson Macedo.
How about the finish of that National Open last Saturday night?
Right.
Carson Macedo holds off a hard-charging Sheldon Hodenshield to the line. That was close at the end, wasn't it?
It was.
And Macedo's second crown jewel win at Williams Grove Speedway. He won the National Open 3 years ago there. So on Saturday night, he won the $75,000 prize, and we had him on Monday's Mostly Motorsports show to talk about it, and here is that conversation.
Carson, congratulations on your second National Open.
I appreciate that very much. Thanks for having me on, and it was a good weekend. I can't complain. Really happy with how it all turned out.
Yep.
How did things change in the preliminary race? You got fogged out on Friday night. You had to come back and run on Saturday afternoon. Much different conditions in that preliminary race on Saturday afternoon. What all did you do in between the Saturday afternoon race and the big show on Saturday night to the race car?
Well, it's like I said, the conditions were so much different from Friday night to Saturday day show, and then even Saturday, the night feature, the actual National Open finale, it was just so much different. The Friday, it was so cold. It's rained all week there in Pennsylvania because of the aftershock of the hurricane down in the east southern coast of the United States. And I think all that rain had came up, and it had rained for like almost 10 days straight. So they had a lot of water to begin with, and then with it being cold that day and really overcast most of Friday, I think you didn't expect for it to be as fast as it was. I think them adding also a little bit of water, and then like you said, the fog came in and kind of just rained on our parade, and we actually didn't perform very well on Friday night. We struggled throughout we ended up having to take a provisional on that Friday scheduled show that ended up getting run Saturday evening or Saturday afternoon. But we figured out some things with our race car, in that preliminary race, and I actually felt really strong. We started 25th and ran 12th, and felt like we had a lot of speed and momentum on our side going into that final night, and just felt strong the whole Saturday night evening portion show. It was, from qualifying, we won our heat race, and then we're able to, run second the dash and take the lead, I think lap 8 or 9 in the feature, and then hold it for the rest of that race, and just felt really good. I mean, Williams Grove's unique, so we definitely had to make some changes to our race car to get better from, the point where we were struggling the night before, but luckily I've got Philip Dietz in my corner, one of the best in the business, and between my feedback and his knowledge, we were able to kind of put something together that was really, really strong there on Saturday night.
I always believe in Philip Dietz because he is such a great crew chief. We know him really well. I just got to ask you, during that open red, when they put the fuel in the car, did that change your car a little bit?
Yeah, we've actually run into case scenarios in the past where we've had these open red situations, Knoxville Nationals being one of them, where you can you disregard that fuel a little bit and don't realize how much of a difference it actually makes. But, putting a big fuel load back on the car actually tightens up your race car a lot. And so you can overdo it, by just making small adjustments and then adding fuel as well. So we really kind of erred on the side of not making as many adjustments. We felt like our balance was already fairly close. And, when we added the fuel load, it makes a big enough difference to where we didn't feel like we needed to make a whole lot of changes. And I think that was, ended up being the right call. We were able to have a really good car throughout almost the entire portion of the race. There at the end, the last few laps, I felt like I was starting to fade just a little bit. But for the most part, at the end of the day, we were able to get the job done. And that's really, all that matters. And I feel like we learned a few things from the past situations where we've had those open red situations and conditions, and I think Philip just, he made the right call there Saturday night.
Hey, you and Anthony Macri battled it out there a little bit early in the race, didn't you?
Yeah, we did. He was pretty good. I felt like he had quite a bit of speed. I knew he was going to be tough to beat, but I just felt, like I said, I just think my car was exceptional, and the first time I got to his inside and slid him, he was actually able to dive back underneath me and battle him back into the lead. And I thought, man, I maybe let my chance escape, but we were able to reel him back in and give another shot at passing him for the lead. And luckily the second time it stuck, and then we're able to kind of hold on to the lead after that.
You didn't have a whole lot of yellow flags. How difficult is it to work lap traffic at Williams Grove Speedway?
Yeah, it's probably one of the most challenging places that we go to as far as lap traffic is concerned. The air there is such a big thing. Even when I was running second behind Macri, my car was exceptional, but it didn't feel as good as when I got to the lead. You get in that clean air, and your car just works so well because your wings have so much, constant, consistent downforce on them. So I felt like my car was a lot better once I got into the lead. And then when you get to traffic, you kind of get into that same routine where, it's almost like you're running second or third again. And you get behind them cars, and they not only do they dirty up the racetrack where, as you turn around the corner, it leaves that little bit of hazy, like dusty dirt across the racetrack, and that kind of makes you start to spin. But also the air not being consistently on your wings makes a big difference as well. So you just start to come out of the racetrack a little bit, and you're searching around more to find that grip, and it just makes it challenging because a lot of the times, if you can't get by him in the corner, you're following him down the straightaway, and the guy behind you is getting a run or at least catching up to you. So I just tried to keep my nose clean, keep the car outside of their wings, and made sure I made good, consistent laps.
I've been to Williams Grove a few times during my ASCS days. Just so you know, those corners are kind of tight, aren't they?
Oh, yeah, they're definitely different than any other racetrack. I think that's what makes winning the National Open, 2 times pretty special for somebody like me that's not from anywhere close to the state of Pennsylvania. Williams Grove, obviously, no surprise to anyone, is very unique. It's different than anything that I've ever raced on prior to moving out to the Midwest and racing over there primarily. But, long straightaways, tight corners, that paperclip, different, conditions, it just makes it really hard for a race car driver that comes from, small quarter-mile bull rings to adjust to it. But luckily, with the help of, Jason Johnson Racing, Philip Dietz, and just a little bit of guidance, been able to adapt to those conditions. And, really proud to be able to win a couple National Opens. It's a marquee event with a lot of history. A lot of good drivers have won it, and very few have won it more than once. So
Right.
it's pretty special.
How does this win compare to the first time you won it? What was it, about 3 years ago?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately it's the same every time. I think, to win the National Open, to win any of the Crown Jewel events is very, very special, and you don't know when and if you're going to win one again. So I felt like I was just as happy to win this one, and just as thrilled to feel that victory on the big stage as I was the first time. And I think if I won it again, I think it would be no different.
Yeah, when you jump up and do the full wing dance, that makes it pretty special, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, I mean, you don't do that every time. That's something that you do when you win these big races. And luckily, in the past month, I've been able to win a couple of them. So it's been cool, and it's been a special time to be driving the all bought JJR 41 car. It's been fast, and I'm very thankful to have good people around me that that's ultimately sprint car racing, especially nowadays. Money can only get so far. At the top level, everybody has good equipment and really good race cars with good engines, all the components that you really need to make success. But people is really what makes the difference at this level, and I've got some of the best around me, and I'm very, very thankful for that.
Hey, Marie, I don't know if you know Marie Beasley or not out there, but she is a great supporter from Pennsylvania. She's on there. She said, well-deserved. See you at Lincoln.
Oh, that's awesome. I look forward to going to Lincoln this weekend. I wish we had a Friday night race, but ultimately it's nice to be able to at least get another race in central Pennsylvania, and hopefully I'll be able to see her at the track. And I'm looking forward to this weekend and hopefully carrying some momentum into that place.
Yeah, how do you see Lincoln Speedway? What do you know about that racetrack?
Oh, I mean, I think it's very similar to Williams Grove, just a lot shorter. It seems like a little bit more banking. It's crazy. It looks like it would race very similar, but it actually races quite a bit different. We've had some success at Lincoln. I've never won an outlaw show there, but we have been, in contention. We run on the podium, so I'm looking forward to heading that way, and I think that we'll have a really good shot. Momentum's on our side. Our car's really good right now, and I'm very proud with the results that we've been able to have here lately. So I don't see why we can't go there and put a good run together.
Hey, with Philip Dietz, man, let me tell you, you've got one of the best crew chiefs in the country right now.
Oh yeah.
Me and Kirk we're fond of Philip Dietz. He is such a great guy, man, and we think the world of him.
Jason would be smiling from ear to ear right now looking down on what you did the other night. No doubt.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. Philip's done a great job. He's just delivered in the position that he's been put in. He took over JJR as a whole as the mechanic and now obviously the car owner, but the accomplishments that he's been able to kind of put up on the board with David Gravel and myself have been extraordinary. And I'm very thankful to be working with him. I think you're right when you say he's one of the best, if not the best in the country, and I think that he will only continue to get better. So I'm looking forward to obviously working with him for years to come, and I think his whole ultimate goal is to carry on JJR's legacy and everything that Jason stood for, and I think that he's done a great job at it, and I think that Jason obviously left him with an unbelievable foundation, and he's been able to build on that foundation and really do a great job. So I'm really happy for him and his wife Brooke, and they're doing a good job as car owners, and of course Philip's going to deliver like he always has as a crew chief.
Yep. Hey, listen, you're 86 points back behind David Gravel. Do you feel like you got a chance to catch him?
Well, if I didn't feel like I had a chance, I wouldn't be much of a competitor. I definitely think that I've got a shot at it. And I think that, with 8 races to go, there's a lot that can happen in those 8 races. And what we're going to do is we're going to go to the racetrack and we're going to give it 110%. We're going to deliver the best performance we can. And at the end of those 8 races, we're going to see where the cards fall, and hopefully they fall in our favor.
Carson Macedo, one of the hottest wing sprint car drivers in the country right now, following his National Open victory last week. And, they're starting to run out of races, Scott. You got next weekend at Joliet. You've got 2 nights of racing at Riverside at the Ditch, and then the World Finals at Charlotte. David Gravel's run consistent enough that he'd have to have a catastrophic night or 2, I believe, in order for Carson Macedo overhaul him.
I'm going to disagree with you, Kirk. He's only 86 points behind David Gravel right now. Carson Macedo is. And I think that there's a chance that he can win this championship.
There's a chance, but I think he's going to have help from David Gravel to do it.
Right.
Gravel's even if he's not winning, and he's not running as well as Carson Macedo has lately.
David
Gravel is still posting good enough finishes to stay ahead of the fray.
Hey, Kirk, David Gravel was the most dominant driver at the early part of the season, wasn't he?
No question about it. I mean, you talk about July, where David Gravel won the 2 Crown Jewel events there at Eldora Speedway, the Kings Royal. It was a very hot driver at that time. But since the Nationals, it's been Carson Macedo and Buddy Kofoid have been the 2 hottest drivers on the World of Outlaws Tour. And now with Brad Sweet doing what he's doing on the High Limit Series, it is Macedo, Sweet, and Kofoid, the 3 hottest drivers, and I'm not putting Gravel in that bunch, but David Gravel has the capability of running at that level. He just hasn't been. He's not running bad. Gravel is not running poorly. He's just not running as good as these guys are.
I was kind of pulling for Donnie Schatz to win the championship this year, but he's 176 points back. I think he's out of the race, don't you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, way out of the race. Schatz just hasn't run consistently well. He's won some races this year, but just not consistent enough, and he knows that better than anybody. But 10-time World of Outlaw champion knows what you got to do to win championships, and Donnie Schatz just hasn't had that kind of consistency this year.
And we're going to have Buddy Kofoid on Mostly Motorsports on Monday as well, right?
Couple of other notes in sprint car racing. The non-wing sprint cars, Scott, were racing at Lawrenceburg Speedway last night. Did you see this? Mitchell Moles had the race won. He's coming off the 4th turn to the checkered flag, and they threw a yellow. Couple of cars in trouble in turn number 2. And then as they get the cars lined back up for the green-white checker restart, what happens? Moles has a problem, has to drop out.
Did you ever hear what the problem was?
I'm not sure what the issue was. Some kind of a mechanical issue,
right,
is what cost Mitchell Moles the win. But he was at the checkered flag. They were ready to throw the checkered flag off the 4th turn, and they threw the yellow. That was that for Mitchell Moles. Briggs Danner comes through with the win, holding off Robert Ballou. Brady Bacon ends up in 3rd place there with Lawrenceburg again tonight for the non-wing USAC sprint cars. So one other note, we had the ASCS National Tour last night at Benton Speedway in Missouri last night. I'm not sure. Is that a track you've ever been to, Scott? Benton Speedway?
No, I haven't been there.
Joe B. Miller comes through with the victory last night at Benton Speedway. Big win for him. Sterling Kling second, Hank Davis third, Jason Martin and Landon Britt rounding out the top five. They'll be at Paducah Speedway tonight for the ASCS 360 Sprint Cars.
Hey, Kirk, Seth Bergman has a 136-point lead over Sam Haferteef Jr. Do you think he's got it wrapped up?
I think Seth's going to do it this time.
You know, Seth Bergman has been chasing that championship for many years. Do you know that, Kirk?
I know he has. And wouldn't that be great if he could pull it off one more time? He finished 7th last night. And I'm not sure if Sam Haferteef, he was 18th last night. Sam was 18th and Seth Bergman 7th. I think this is, they've still got a few more races to go. They're not going to finish this up till mid-November, so there's still time for Sam Haferteef to close the gap, but he's running out of races too. But I think Seth Bergman's going to get it done this time.
I do too. All right, thanks everybody for tuning in to Track Talk here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. We're going to take a break. When we come back, more of Rod End Supply featuring the POWRi Midwest Lightning Sprints. We'll be back in a moment. Stay tuned.
Track Talk. Rod End Supply is involved with a variety of motorsports as well as industrial applications with many different types of products. Since 1989, Rod End Supply has provided superior products priced competitively. Whether you're racing at the circle track or drag strip, rock climbing, or going off-road, Rod End Supply has an assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products to keep your equipment moving. Rod End Supply's experienced staff is ready and willing to help you with your needs. Their promise is to continue to provide a superior product with superior service so you can stay in front of the field no matter what it is. To learn more, go to rodendsupply.com.
Todd Lebo.
All right, guys, your out time will be 8:57.
We got our house painted this summer by CertaPro, and as usual, the experience was awesome. The house looked fantastic, and the crew was great. Very responsive and detail-oriented. You can schedule your free estimate online at CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C. They'll get the ball rolling from there. They can even help you with color consultation to make sure you're locked in on the exact look you want for your home. Each CertaPro painter's business is independently owned and operated. They really are your local neighborhood painter. When you choose CertaPro painters, you aren't just choosing a service, you're choosing a partner in making your house your home. They've painted my home's exterior twice, and we've used them inside multiple times as well, and it's always been great. A fresh coat of paint really is the easiest way to give your home a refresh. We've gotten so many compliments about our new exterior color, and it's all thanks to CertaPro painters. Get your free estimate online right now at CertaPro.com. When choosing a painting professional, the choice is simple. Choose happy. Choose CertaPro painters.
It's a great time to save big on everything for your next project at Menards. Get free estimates fast on new energy-efficient windows from JELD-WEN. Choose from vinyl or wood windows and customize the perfect size and unique features for your home. Save big on all JELD-WEN windows today. View our entire selection of JELD-WEN windows on Menards.com. Plus the weekly flyer for other great deals happening now.
Save big money at Menards.
Big news, Kansas City. Joslin's Jewelry has just been named Best of Kansas City by Ingram's Magazine and awarded the prestigious gold medal. For over 47 years, Joslin's has been your go-to for exquisite jewelry and exceptional service. All of us here at WHB are proud to be partners with Joslin's and would like to recognize this great achievement. Visit Joslin's Jewelry, where every piece tells a story. Joslin's Jewelry is at the corner of 95th and Antioch in Overland Park. Joslin's Jewelry, the gold standard in fine jewelry.
Joslin's Jewelry for the best that's yet to come.
Hey,
30 seconds.
Shoppers, ready for another round of killer deals? From Friday, October 11th to Sunday, October 13th, they're hooking you up with 20% off all illicit concentrates. Plus, buy one illicit vape cartridge and get the second 50% off. Illicit vapes are compact and discreet.
10 seconds.
These deals are only around from October 11th through the 13th, so don't wait. Stop in today to start saving. From the Earth, where the savings never stop.
Welcome back. It's Track Talk here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. It's all brought to you by Rod End Supply, featuring the POWRi Midwest Lightning Sprints. Kirk, the Show Me Showdown is going on out at Sweet Springs this weekend.
That is a huge event for micro racing, the Show Me Showdown. We used to cover that on Racing Boys live video for a number of years. Todd, you know about the Show Me Showdown, don't you?
That was a good event. You know, that was my first. I mean, I'd been out there a couple times, but that was my first start to finish event from the beginning. What a well-oiled machine those guys have out there. I mean, boom, boom, boom classes, and you know as well as I do, guys.
They run them through there pretty quick.
And when you have younger guys, when you run one of those junior sprint classes, it may take a few times because they have to have the push starts, you know, and they have to have the, you know, because it's the junior sprint. Sometimes it takes a little bit. But what I think was cool, I saw a TikTok video this weekend, and this guy was videotaping his kid racing, and he panned back, and Kyle Busch is sitting right next to him with his earbuds in, watching Braxton drive around that track. So, like you said, Kyle Busch has talked how good that track is, and yeah, that race there, that I couldn't say anything better about that whole event that they had out there, other than the fact we got out of there, Kirk, when the rain hit. That's about it.
Hey,
so.
Kirk,
it was
Todd,
a marathon,
Todd,
one whole day.
You got drenched out there one year, didn't you?
You were out of town. I ran. So I've shot video for a live pay-per-view 3 times for Racing Boys on our stuff, and that event there was. I parked the car right next to where the tower, you know, I was able to walk out, but me and Kirk got so wet. We had no longer, I had to have my tripod. I put the tripod cover over the camera to cover it because it wasn't just raining.
It was downpouring.
It was buckets of rain. It wasn't it, Kirk?
They barely got it in. It was done. The races were over, and then it just let loose. And they had some rain issues that whole weekend.
Yeah.
And it was a marathon day.
Remember, they didn't even
all day long into the early Sunday evening. It was on a Sunday, and they just waved the last checkered flag, and here the
Well, they
rains
didn't
came.
even do the photographs and the award presentations after each race because they knew they only had it for the one race, and after, because they knew they were on, you know, short on time because the rain was coming, and it was like you said, Sweet Springs. That's an awesome place, and man, it's right here off the highway. You can't miss it. You know, I-70, boom, you're there.
Well, they've had 2 nights of racing so far. The final night tonight at Sweet Springs Motorsports Complex, and on Thursday night, Brant Woods won the A-Class Micro feature. In Sportsman Micros, it was W.J. Campbell, the feature winner, and Brent Woods won the non-wing Outlaw Micro feature event. Last night, they had 4 other classes at play. Outlaw Micros winner was Chase Porter. In the restricted Micros, it was Tian Roberts. And the Community Bank non-wing micro feature winner, Jaden Friesen. Junior sprints, it was Carson Oots, the feature winner, and they'll wrap everything up. All the classes will be at play tonight out at Sweet Springs Motorsports Complex. They had some midget racing, Scott, down at Port City Raceway down in Tulsa. That's the other big micro track. It's micros, but also some midget racing down at Port City last night in the micros. On Thursday night, Dayson Persley won the feature event. Now, he had to go back to Lawrenceburg and run a non-wing sprint car last night, so he's not at Port City last night. But Cannon McIntosh dominated the POWRi midget feature last night. They'll have one more night of it down at Port City tonight. We hope to have Cannon McIntosh on Monday's show as well to talk about his BC39 victory, and he just wrapped up the Extreme Outlaw Midget Series Championship.
Maybe we can get a hold of Chris Simpson to get him on.
Or his brother Chad, the champion. Yeah,
right.
We'll work on that. So we've got a lot at play on Mondays, mostly motorsport show. I just want to mention one thing. Sympathies go to the Harriet Reed family today. Harriet Reed and her husband Bob were big players at Lakeside Speedway back when I was announcing races out there that had the co-ownership in the racetrack, and CARB members and very passionate supporters of racing for many years. Bob is still with us, but unfortunately we lost Harriet at the age of 89 this past week. Her services were yesterday, and I just want to send out my condolences to Bob. their daughters Susan, David, and Reed, the grandson, for the loss of Harriet Reed. Sympathies to all.
It was always good to see her out at Lakeside Speedway in the suite. She was always nice, and we've been out there for years. And like you said, she was always smiling face and would say hi to you. So, like you said, sorry to hear that. But
and also condolences to the family of Dale Moore, the Carb Hall of Fame member who passed away unexpectedly this past week too.
Man, that's really sad to hear the passing of those two people.
Yeah. So, anyway, wanted to get that in. Hey, the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum is open year-around. Even though the season is over, you can still go to the Hall of Fame all year around. And while we're thinking about the Hall of Fame right now, there's going to be a sprint car giveaway coming up 2 days before Christmas. They only do this once every 2 years. And so you want to get registered for the Race Ready 410 Wing Sprint Car. It's a XXX chassis with an Al Parker 410 racing engine. You can sign up for this and win this sprint car and go sprint car racing. All you have to do to go to winasprintcar.com to get registered for it. The drawing is December the 23rd, and they got the new Corvette that they're going to be giving away this year as well. Get signed up for that as well, sprintcarhof.com. Find out more about that next August. They do that every year, the Corvette, but this is a beauty, 1,000 horsepower. Wow. 2025 ZR1 with the ZTX Performance Package. Get registered for that. Go to sprintcarhof.com. The Dennis Allbaugh Sweet Tower is well underway. They're going to have that open by the time you go to the races next April. That changes the look of the whole National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum. The Brian Clausen Sweet Tower on one side, the new Dennis Allbaugh Tower on the other, in turn 2 at the Knoxville Raceway. And check out all the great items. I guess maybe it's not too early to think about Christmas.
Right.
So you can get all your gift ideas up there. Go to sprintcarstuff.com. Lots of great items in the gift shop at the Hall of Fame.
How about those Royals?
Yeah, I'm proud of the Royals. I know it's disappointing to lose to the Yankees. But, boy, isn't what we just witnessed better than what we've seen in the past?
It is.
I'll take what the Royals delivered us this year. I'll take it.
Went from 106 losses and made it into the playoffs this year.
They did, and and they won a series in the playoff. They beat the Orioles in the wild card. I don't think anybody even expected that. So for us to get a couple of home games here in Kansas City, man, I'll take it. Maybe I'm a diehard Royals fan. I've lived through 2 world championships. We've got 2 world championships we have to celebrate. And those world titles, I don't know how you feel, Todd, but they go a long way with
1
me.
minute.
Winning a world championship twice in my lifetime goes a long way with me.
Absolutely. It was fun. It was a very fun time here in Kansas City. So I hope
Chiefs are 5-0.
On a break this weekend. And
how about that?
They're off this weekend.
That's right. College
They're
day.
off this weekend. It's a bye week.
That's right. You got college
All
game
right,
day coming up next.
College game day is coming up next with Danny and Stan. So don't miss that. And for Kirk, for Todd,
30.
For Kyle back at Sports Radio 810, we appreciate all the hard work that he does back there. We appreciate it. And it's all been brought to you by Rod End Supply, featuring the POWRi Midwest Lightning Sprints. For Todd, for Kyle, for Kirk Elliott, I'm Scott Traylor saying we'll see you next week right here on Track Talk.
Track Talk. Rod End Supply is involved with a variety of motorsports as well as industrial applications with many different types of products. Since 1989, Rod End Supply has provided superior products priced competitively. Whether you're racing at the circle track or
Thank you
drag
guys.
strip,
Have a good weekend.
rock
Brother,
climbing,
you
or
too.
going
Thanks.
off-road, Rod End Supply has an assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products to keep your equipment moving. Rod End Supply's experienced staff is ready and willing to help you with your needs. Their promise is to continue to provide a superior product with superior service so you can stay in front of the field no matter what it is. To learn more, go to rodendsupply.com.
When a KU
Rod End Supply is involved with a variety of motorsports as well as industrial applications with many different types of products. Since 1989, Rod End Supply has provided superior products priced competitively. Whether you're racing at the circle track or drag strip, rock climbing, or going off-road, Rod End Supply has an assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products to keep your equipment moving. Rod End Supply's experienced staff is ready and willing to help you with your needs. Their promise is to continue to provide a superior product with superior service so you can stay in front of the field no matter what it is. To learn more, go to rodendsupply.com.
Here at Specialty Sportswear in-house, we do all of the screen printing, all the embroidery. We do some vinyl. The other add specialty items like your pens, magnets, notepads, calendars. You can actually buy that, build your business to make it larger. We have the largest screen printing process and the largest embroidery anywhere around in the area. We can do stuff all the way from your school clubs to sports teams, a professional look in the office. If you can imagine it, we can do it for you.
From the circle track to the drag strip to off-road racing, Rod End Supply has been keeping their customers at the front of the field since 1989. Whether you need rod ends, tubular rods, or specialty products, Bob Douglas and his Rod End Supply staff are always ready to help you with your needs. You can visit them on the web at rodendsupply.com or call them at 800-284-2902. That's 800-284-2902. Rod End Supply, keeping you at the front of the field.
When Steve died, the outpouring of love was amazing. These dollars had come together to support us, and we realized, no, we didn't want to use them for us. We wanted to use them to help others.
The foundation has done so much for so many people. It helps any family that has somebody, whether it be a crew member or one of the drivers, that get hurt. We can help them to get through the situation.
I was injured in a non-wing sprint car accident that broke my neck and left me with a spinal cord injury. I was in the hospital 8 months, and that got really, really expensive, so having that extra help to help push me and my family forward was a big deal.
Yes, Steve's death is the reason the foundation exists, but it's Steve's life, and it's the lives of racers everywhere, is the reason we're able to do the work we do.
Lakeside Speedway with weekly racing every Friday night, plus great special events throughout 2024, including USMTS, MLRA, Malvern Bank Super Late Models, High Limit, Power I, ASCS, and much more. For complete schedule and information, it's lakesidespeedway.net. For the best coverage in dirt track racing, go to racinboys.com.
Race fans, the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum is open 7 days a week, year-round, for you to come in and check out all of the wonderful race cars on display in the museum, and our online store at sprintcarstuff.com is open 24 hours a day for you to check out everything that we have in stock for sprint car fans. Whether it's for a birthday, anniversary, or Christmas, sprintcarstuff.com has it all. That's at the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum in Knoxville.
Go harder, faster, stronger with Rod End Supply. Whether you are running industrial, farming equipment, or a race car, Rod End Supply has the assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products that will help you lead the field in performance. Our superior design means our rod ends last longer and perform better, giving you the edge on the track and saving you money. Contact Rod End Supply or order online today at rodendsupply.com. We don't just sell them, we race them. rodendsupply.com. Serving the racing community for over 30 years.
Hey, this is Larry the Cable Guy, and you're listening to Racing Boys, and if you ain't listening to them, you get out of the country because you're a communist. I love the Racing Boys. Like Mater says, they make me happier than a tornado in a trailer park. You know the funny thing about that is the Larry voice and the Mater voice are exactly the same. Get her done.
It's time for America's most unique motorsports show, Track Talk, brought to you by Rod End Supply and the Power Ride Midwest Lightning Sprints. Here are the racing boys, Scott Traylor and Kirk Elliott.
Welcome back. It's Track Talk here on RBN, the Racing Boys Broadcasting Network. Todd Surprise leading the show. Kirk Elliott, my partner for the last 24 years. Can you believe, Kirk, that we've been partners for 24 years?
We always say that, but yeah, I do believe it. Yeah, I believe it's.
Hold on.
We're here.
The other day I asked you if you thought that we would be partners for 24 years. You said no.
I said no. Well, I never think about 24 years into the future. You guys, how often do you guys think, well, I'm going to be doing this 25 years from now? I never think about that.
Todd's been with us for 12 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is my 12th coming up here.
Thank you,
off
Todd,
season.
for
When is your 12th anniversary?
Well, remember we hooked up out there Kansas Speedway, and then when the NASCAR season kind of wrapped up, we kind of because you were getting ready to head back out on the road. You know, you just came off the road.
Right.
That was pretty around that time. Whenever the ASCS season would wrap up, I think that's when we finally hooked up. But yeah, 25 years from now, I don't think any of us are actually thinking what's going to be in store for us for 25. I'll be a very old man, and I don't know how old you'll be, Kirk, in 25 years. But
I probably won't be around.
yeah,
in
so
25
like I said, I'm just thinking about today and tomorrow.
Yeah.
Today's nice. Tomorrow's supposed to be better. So
only take one day at a time, right, Todd?
Once you get to, like I said, I was a young man when I hired on with you guys in my 40s, and now here I am, or my late 30s, and here I am at 55 or 56. Sorry, I just turned 56. Yeah.
After what you've been through, Todd,
yeah, I
every
feel like
day is a blessing.
I feel like I'm 76. Hey, did you guys go out and see? I know you can't see them by your naked eye, but some of our listeners up north and up on the East Coast, I wonder if anybody saw the Northern Lights the other night. I got a chance to go out and shoot some photographs. You couldn't see it really with your naked eye. You could see a little pink hue in our area. But what I've been told, I got a couple of people that I follow on a Facebook page to a photography page, and they were able to see with their naked eye. And some of the photos I took were pretty amazing, guys.
Any of them you can share with us?
Yeah. So what I want to do is I'll pull up some of the photos that are the ones that make you go, wow, I wish I could see that. So my whole thing, I always wanted to go up to like Canada or Minnesota or Montana and see these things, because visibly the Northern Lights are just, I don't know, it's just something to see. But from what I've been told, it's not a really good thing that we're able to see, because it has to do with how much ozone layer is actually open and the amount of sun flares that we get. But look at this picture here.
Did you shoot that one?
No. This is what you could see when you were up there.
I see.
Where everybody was, predicting. So each color, Kirk, means a different
It looks
thing.
like a painting.
It sure does. So this is kind of like what we saw here in Kansas City, right here. This pink kind of color.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I saw in my backyard. Pretty amazing. I mean, that's pretty much the photos. I had a few green shots in mine, but if you go to any social media page and zoom around or man, it was pretty amazing, and it was all night. What's kind of weird, it comes and goes because they're flares. Understand? So what happens is you'll get a blast and it'll move, and it'll so these things, they're not just stagnant. These things they're moving. It's like a moving background on a video that you see, and it was pretty cool. I saw some people taking some photographs at racetracks with the racetrack in the background, and see, you don't really see it with your around here with your.
It's got to be kind of dark.
It's got to be real dark. You got to be away from the city lights, and your naked eye, like I say,
so this only shows up in a photo.
Well,
you can't see
here
it with your naked eye.
In the Midwest.
Yeah.
But they said in Nebraska the other night, I befriended a lady that was at the Kansas Speedway one year and was part of a promotion they had out there, and she's a school teacher, and they were able to see it with their naked eye up there. She's in Iowa. No, not Iowa. I don't know. Maybe it's northern Iowa, but pretty damn cool, guys. Like I said, if you hear your weatherman ever talking about, hey, tonight you might be able to see the aurora or the northern lights is what we call them here, go out there and set your camera up on night vision or night mode and lean it up against something so it doesn't move, and you'll be able to get you some pretty cool photos, man. It's pretty impressive, man. I was shocked at what we actually saw. So
I didn't even know it was going on.
Yeah, you gotta, like you said, you have to follow.
Kirk was out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah.
Kirk,
I wasn't thinking about it.
Kirk can only focus in on one thing at a time.
He had baseball. He had all these races to go to, and his Iowa
sprint car racing and baseball is all I thought about.
And then you've got your Iowa State getting ready to fire
back. They
back
played tonight.
And I was going to say
West Virginia.
They played tonight.
Yeah, looking forward to that.
But it's been we have the weekend off as far as sports. For us here professionally, the Royals just wrapped up their season and the Chiefs are off this week, so we can I can get some yard work done
they
on
played
Sunday.
Monday night, didn't they?
Yeah, so I'll be able to do some housework and yard work this weekend. I'm not doing it today, guys. It'll be a little too hot out there for.
It's going to be summertime.
It's going to be 91 degrees today.
Today's the day to go to
Tomorrow is the day to do it, Todd.
I think tonight's the night to go to a race, and if you're going to do anything tonight, a racetrack sounds like the best place to be. I know they're still racing locally around Kansas City, and
I'm not sure who all's running tonight. I-35, I think they've got a race tonight.
I'm sure they do. I know Lakeside wrapped up last night, or I don't know if they wrapped up, but they had another race last night.
Well, it's a non-points race.
Yeah.
They'll keep racing till they don't,
Kerry Davis picked up.
There's a USMTS race scheduled for October 25th out at Lakeside. I'm planning on being out there for that. And the following night, USMTS is going to be at 81 Speedway near Wichita. So that's going to be a big weekend for the USMTS. Hopefully the weather holds out that long. But as far as tonight is concerned, I'm going to be watching football. That's what I'm doing.
Yep, Kirk's got Iowa State on his mind, but
yeah,
you'll be able to watch.
I'll tell you, a place to go to is what we talked about the first hour.
Your Cyclones are 5-0, aren't they, Kirk?
5-0, rated 11th,
well,
I think, in the country.
If I was going to do anything,
where to go. If you're
Sweet Springs.
Pick a racetrack around Kansas City tonight, go to Sweet Springs.
Yeah, that's the race. That's the race to go to. Yeah. There's going to be so many different races in, and it's a good event, and put on the right way. Good food, good place. You're right, Kirk. That place should be packed tonight because it's going to be great. The weather's perfect tonight.
And if you're in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, High Limit Racing at the Texas Motor Speedway Dirt Track. See if Brad Sweet can keep his winning streak going. $50,000 on the line tonight for the season finale of the Kubota High Limit Racing Series. So, and if you're in the Tulsa area, go to Port City Raceway and you watch the Power Eye Midgets in action down there. So there are some options that you can check out.
It's a 4-hour drive down to Tulsa.
Yeah. So, anyway, Cannon McIntosh, the big winner last night, and he's been a big-time driver in the midgets here lately after that BC 39 win here a few weeks back. You want to hear some of this sound from Wheatland?
Yeah.
On Wednesday night, went down to Lucas Oil Speedway for the Kubota High Limit Racing. This is a makeup event to make up for the rainout of the weekend finale back in June. Paid $25,000 to win. It was kind of funny. At I-70 Speedway, wouldn't we have one yellow flag the whole night, Scott? I think when Kerry Madsen stalled in the back straightaway in one of the heat races, we didn't have a yellow flag or a car get upside down. No incidents whatsoever at I-70 on Tuesday night.
The great thing about what's going on at I-70 Speedway is they're going to build the small track.
Yeah, I think that I don't think they have any choice in that if they want to get.
If they want to keep cars coming out there.
Yeah, if they want to bring series in and build it up and get the momentum back, and I think that they have no choice but to do that. Now, Lucas Oil Speedway, that's that track. They ain't going to make any changes to that. They put some dirt on it in the off-season, which really helped it. Racetrack was in great condition the other night, but we had some incidents. Scott Boguski got upside down. Brett Marks got upside down. There was a problem with Ryan Timms, who I thought had something for Brad Sweet. Matter of fact, he even grabbed the lead, and then a yellow flag came out, and then they discovered that they had an oil leak in that car. Was it a fuel leak in that car? And so they fixed it. He got back into the field, and Ryan Timms was able to rally back from the back of the field to finish up in 9th in that number 10 car. But certainly, I think he had a chance to beat Brad Sweet in this race. Sweet, starting on the outside of the front row, was able to hold off pole sitter Tyler Courtney and Spencer Baston. Let's hear from the top two finishers. First of all, here's Brad Sweet following his victory on Wednesday night down at Lucas Oil Speedway.
Yeah, I mean, last night was, I think we were definitely the best car and, got out front and were able to kind of set a pace. But tonight we had to battle and definitely get some luck on our side. But, I still felt like we had a car capable of winning. I think Timms obviously took the lead there, and the caution he pulled off. So hard to say what the outcome would have been, but at the end of the day, you got to finish, and we were able to be up front again and put ourselves in position to get the win. So just happy to get the wins. They're hard. They've been hard to come by this year. So really excited to be finishing this year on such a strong note.
How did this track compare to when you were here in June?
It was similar. It was a little wetter tonight, maybe. I had a little more speed, but it started to get kind of slick. So it's definitely a tricky track. It's definitely unique setups that work here. So I've been, tried a lot of different things to get to the point where we actually contended for the win.
2 big nights of racing down at Texas Motor Speedway. Just kind of talk about that racetrack and what do you expect there?
Yeah, just such beautiful facilities to finish the season. I-70 here, Texas Motor Speedway, all first-class facilities. So really excited to kind of showcase High Limit at these facilities, and obviously it's our year-end event, so it's the first time, obviously going down there, so got to build it. We got to build it up and get the crowd excited about coming back year after year, and that's something we want to, obviously the first one is going to be a challenge, but we want to finish our year strong and show the fans what we're capable of. So really excited to go there and finish the year, celebrate with my family, do the banquet for all these guys. Such a great group of people that came together to create this whole High Limit thing, whether it be staff or the team owners and drivers. So just been a special year for me to kind of take a different angle at life. And, I'm still race driving, but I think when I look at the big picture, just a lot of gratitude comes to my mind of what it took to create High Limit and how successful the first year's gone.
2 big shows in the middle of the week. Pretty good money, $45,000 in 2 nights in the middle of the week.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that High Limits is trying to do is push the envelope and grow the sport and try to grow the purses for these teams. And honestly, Lucas Oil Speedway here, we had an event that was rescheduled, so I wasn't sure, if the crowd would come back, but it was really nice to see a great crowd here again tonight. They have a great thing going on here. So, yeah, just honestly feel privileged to be able to come to nice facilities, work with great promoters, and be able to put up big purses like we are doing.
That is Brad Sweet following his victory on Wednesday night. I was also a little bit concerned, making that up in the middle of the week at Wheatland, Missouri, just how big of a crowd would show up down there. But, under the circumstances, I thought it was a pretty decent crowd for a midweek show at Wheatland.
That was Kirk, I would say that was the biggest crowd that we've seen out there to date. Would you say that?
Now you're talking about I-70 Speedway.
I-70,
yeah,
right?
Yes, I thought it was a terrific crowd at I-70 Speedway. Now let's look at the size of that grandstand at I-70. That place can seat 8,000 people.
Right.
That's how many seats they've got at I-70 Speedway. And to me, that looked, I'd say 4,000 or 5,000 people, somewhere between 4 and 5. Were there on Saturday night. But it takes quite a lot to fill I-70 and Lucas Oil Speedway. Those places are huge.
I always say this about Lucas Oil Speedway. The locals are the ones that go to the races down there because it's too far for people to travel 2 hours away because – as you know, Kirk, that's a long ways to travel to go down there 2 hours away.
Now the only thing I would part with what you just said would be the Show Me 100 weekend over Memorial Weekend. At that weekend, you get a lot of people coming in from out of town, camping out for the weekend.
Right.
And that's where it's at. The camping that builds in your big crowd. And to a certain extent, the Jesse Hockett Daniel McMillan Memorial has that as well. But that's really what makes it work at Lucas Oil Speedway and the location where it's at. Let's be honest, it's out in the middle of the country. Lucas Oil Speedway is out in the middle of nowhere.
I would say the biggest race of the year is the Jesse Hockett Daniel McMillan Memorial, wouldn't you? Would you say that?
Second only to the Show Me 100, yes. Right. So those two events, and on the weekend, I think you're going to get a bigger crowd just because of the location of it. So a midweek show at Lucas Oil Speedway, you're going to have a little bit of a challenge. You know, people's got to get up and go to work the next day, and if they got to drive in an hour or
on
even
Wednesday
2 hours to go to the races, they're probably not going to come. So,
right.
But I thought under the circumstances they had a pretty decent crowd down at Wheatland the other night. Let's hear from Tyler Courtney, who finished in second place. He won the midweek high limit championship on the second tiebreaker. He finished sixth, but even though Brad Sweet won, he had to hold him off for the midweek championship. He did it not by the number of wins, but because they both had the same amount of wins at that point in the midweek series, but it was the second tiebreaker, second place finishes. Here's Tyler Courtney the night after he clinched the midweek title, finishing second to Brad Sweet at Lucas Oil Speedway. Second place finish, how much more did you need?
I just needed to be better at the beginning of the race. We started on pole and fell back to like 6th or 7th, so that just took me too long to get back to second. And but yeah, it's all right. It's just needed to be a little bit better. But Brad's been good all season. He's been the guy to beat, and just came up a little bit short tonight. But got 2 more nights of the season left, and we'll see what we can do.
What was that like on Tuesday night at I-70, being able to nail down that midweek title?
Yeah, that was nice. It's we got a chance to get in second in the national championship, and so winning the midweek is kind of a nice little consolation prize to kind of cap off our season. And it's been a great year. We just had a couple bad weeks that ultimately took us out of the running for the championship for the national deal. But all in all, it's been a great season, and like I said, that winning the midweek is just kind of an extra bonus on top of that.
Competition is really stiff in this high limit series. How does that affect? I mean, every night you come out here, it's really tough.
Yeah, it's sprint car racing, I think in general, is probably the most competitive it's ever been, and the drivers we have out here at the high limit series are some of the best in the business, and it's tough. You got to fight for every position and be on top of your game every time you roll on the racetrack.
Tyler Courtney, second place finish on Wednesday night. I was walking through the pits both at I-70 and also at Lucas Oil Speedway. I know you were out at I-70 on Tuesday night. I mean, there were no bad cars in the whole field, Scott. I mean, you walk down through the pits, there are no bad cars in that pit area out at
the high limit series.
Lucas Oil.
Yeah, the high limit series. Let me ask you a question, Kirk. Is the high limit series better than the World of Outlaws?
I think it's deeper than the World of Outlaws. Now, at the top of the heap, the World of Outlaws still pretty strong with Gravel and Carson Macedo and Buddy Kofoid and Donnie Schatz. But if you look through the weekly field and the high limit racing versus the World of Outlaws, you got to be honest and say that the high limit field is much deeper night to night. Would you agree?
I would agree with that, Kirk.
Yeah, I mean, there's some pretty heavy hitters that traveled that high limit series this year. So the World of Outlaws, it's going to be interesting to see what changes are made to some of these teams. Are they going to go back to World of Outlaws, or are some of them going to go high limit? Here's my prediction. I think some of these guys that were racing the high limit this year will go back to the World of Outlaws only because they'll feel that it's a lot easier to compete and win at the World of Outlaws than they just found out all season on the high limit series.
I would agree with you on that one, Kirk, because I think that people recognize the weakness of the World of Outlaws versus the high limit series, and I think that a few of those drivers will go back.
And that'll be the benefit of the World of Outlaws. They'll get some of those teams that'll go back running World of Outlaws because, and let's be honest, these guys don't go to the racetrack to run at the back of the pack. All these guys are used to winning,
right?
And they all can't win. They all can't even finish in the top 10. So they're going to want to go to places where they feel they've got a better shot, and that's why I think that the fields will even out a little bit more next year when some of these guys defect high limit and go over to the World of Outlaws. The only exception to that would be the top 5 in the points in the high limit are going to receive a charter. Now, I'm not sure exactly what that's going to mean going forward. I'm sure in years ahead when the value of the high limit series grows bigger, that the value of those charters is going to mean something. But at the end of the year, they're going to award the top 5 in points charters. So that those 5 are Brad Sweet, who's already wrapped up the championship, Tyler Courtney with Clausen Marshall Racing, Rico, who owns his own ride, his 3rd. James McFadden driving the Roth Motorsports car is number 4. We're not sure James McFadden going to be back in that car next year. There's talk that he's going to go back to Australia, so we'll see about that. And 5th in points is Brent Marks driving for Murray Marks Motorsports. Those are the 5 that are in the top 5 right now. Now, Corey Day is 6th. He is just 1 point back of the 5th place Murray Marks Motorsports. 1 point with 1 night to go. So we'll see how that goes. But Jason Myers is going to have a new driver in that 13 car next year because Corey Day is going to go full-time NASCAR racing next year. So they'll have a different driver in the Jason Myers car. And if they get 5th, we'll see who drives that car. But the top 5 are going to stay with high limit next year.
Hey, Kirk, we had a chance to talk to Chase Rodman here the other day on Monday.
He is the voice of high limit racing, and we have him on most every Monday, and we talked to Chase Rodman. Let's hear his wrap-up from the week before and the preview of the big week we've just experienced.
Looking forward to seeing you out at I-70 Speedway and Lucas Oil Speedway. Those are 2 great racetracks, aren't they?
2 great tracks. I would say 2 even better facilities, really. I mean,
yeah.
They both are state-of-the-art facilities, especially Lucas Oil, but I-70 really has a lot of good amenities and whatnot for the fans and the teams and all that stuff. I mean, it's just a really, really nice place. And I hear that they've got some plans coming up for next year. I haven't really heard all the details, but it sounds like they are going to be doing a little bit of a reconfiguration. Have you guys heard that as well?
Oh, yeah. We broke that story here several weeks ago. Casey Schumann told me this himself here when I talked to him out at Lakeside. We're going to put a quarter-mile track on the inside of I-70 Speedway. And I said, oh, man, that's big news. And now I hear that, first of all, the plans were just to put the track, keep the half mile and do the quarter mile track. But now, Scott, are you hearing that they may just totally do it all right, just shorten everything up right now? What do you think?
They might shorten the whole thing up.
Yeah, just kind of do the whole thing in one fell swoop and just make it better.
I think the ideal is to keep the big track and put a little track in the middle of it.
Well, that was the original idea,
right.
But I'm not so sure that that's going to be the final plan, that they may just go all in and just make it right 3/8 mile and move the corners in. I don't know what the final plan is of that, but they're going to make a change to I-70 Speedway. So, Chase, this would be one of the last events that we'll see on the big track.
Yeah, I like the sound of that, man. You guys, I don't know if you know or not, but I'm a big fan of, 3/8 and quarter miles. That's kind of my I don't know about expertise, but more of my cup of tea, I guess you could say. I love those size racetracks. I think they put on the best racing, especially 3/8. It's the perfect size of, big, big track where you get speed, but also, the small size where you get sliders and side-by-side and all that good stuff. So I think it's a good change for I-70 to, kind of downsize the racetrack a little bit. I think it will create some more side-by-side, some more action, and that's exactly what the fans want to see as well.
And they'll be able to book more events. I think more series sanctioning bodies would be more attractive to come into I-70 with a smaller racetrack, because the track the way it is now, it's just kind of hard to book events right now on that big track.
Hey, listen, they tried to keep it the size of the old I-70 Speedway. It didn't have as much banking in it, but I'm telling you, I'm thinking that this is going to be a great idea for what they're going to do.
I think it's going to be an enormous improvement to the because you pointed out, Chase, the facility itself is first rate. Now, if you get the track right, then it's gonna take it to a new level. I believe that.
Yeah, and I think mentioned the series would want to book more dates there. I think that the smaller the track, the more cars you'll get too. I mean, it's hard for those guys that are the weekend warriors and whatnot to, go to a half mile or a 4/10 mile and try and contend with some guys that have, bigger engine packages and whatnot. So smaller racetrack, I think it is just overall a better deal. Drivers, teams, series, different events, different things like that, and better for the fans as well. I think there's nothing you can do wrong by making that track a little bit smaller, and I see a lot of benefits and not many, detractions from making that change.
I think it helps Flying H drag strip too. Maybe give them a little bit more room to operate where the drag strip is. So I think it would be a win-win for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. But we got one more race at least on the big track, and we have a champion to decide on Tuesday night with the midweek money series. Tyler Courtney, just a 16-point lead over Brad Sweet for that little mini-series championship. And then, for the final four races, the race for second in points is pretty close as well. It's also 16 points between Rico and Sunshine. So a couple of battles to keep an eye on when it comes to points with High Limit Racing this week.
The last time you guys were here, we saw Corey Day win the preliminary night, and Rico really had him covered on the Saturday night out here at I-70, didn't he?
Did, yeah, $26,000 win for that Race Redeem Foundation event, and Rico's been arguably the hottest driver on the High Limit Tour here ever since the midpoint of the season. He's been winning a bunch of big races and running up front and doing really well. So I wouldn't be shocked at all to see him come back in there and get a win during this midweek money series finale because he's just been so good on the half miles. So. If that's the case, then he might be able to lock up that second place position in points and just kind of cruise along for the final three races, but we'll have to wait and see.
You don't want to count out Corey Day either, because that guy gets around that place pretty good.
Yeah, it could be a good 2 nights for Corey Day. He won that, as you mentioned, the prelim night at I-70, when we were there earlier this year, and then at Lucas Oil, he was leading the race there and either blew up or broke a rear end or something there up front, led the first 8 or so laps and had to retire the car. So, Corey Day's shown that he's got speed on both tracks we're going to this week and could prove to be a pretty darn good weekend for pretty good week for him.
I think Brad Sweet's got this championship wrapped up. Rico Abreu is behind him, 258 points. I think that Brad Sweet's got this thing locked up. Do you think so?
Yeah, actually it is. Ever since we canceled those two, the rainouts at Florence and Atomic, when that happened, it actually did clinch that championship for Brad. So
he's got it.
He doesn't have to worry about too much. But obviously the only thing he's got to worry about is trying to win some big money. $20,000 on Tuesday, $25,000 on Wednesday, and $50,000 on Saturday. So we know that that's all he's worried about, and maybe trying to sew up that midweek championship as well if he can beat Tyler Courtney by a couple spots.
Brad had a fast race car at Williams Grove the other night, didn't he? He came up through there and finished a pretty solid third place. He was running good the other night, didn't he?
Yeah, not bad for not being there since last year's National Open. He was very fast. I think maybe if that race was, 5 laps longer, if there was maybe a yellow there with, 5 or 10 to go, Brad could have maybe, put himself in position and challenged for the lead. The track was actually pretty good, a little racy there. They had 2 lanes, so Brad was very good. So was McFadden. I thought for a minute he was maybe going to win that race. But the High Limit guys had a pretty good showing out there at the Grove. didn't win any races, but ran in the top 5 quite a bit and showed some speed, so it was cool.
What did Rico do these last couple of weekends? He just kind of retooling, re-gearing? What's been going on with Rico?
Yeah, I think he's just been kind of hanging out, and, that's the good thing about High Limit is if you don't want to go run the National Open or you don't want to go run some of these other races, you don't have to. And I think that we had a pretty busy stretch there prior to those couple rainouts and whatnot. And Rico taking advantage of being a High Limit driver and not going out and racing anywhere else, maybe just taking some time with the family, trying to get maybe his merchandise trailer restocked and get cars put back together and get himself prepared for the final home stretch here with High Limit, his first ever year on a national tour. And he is poised to maybe finish second in points, and I think that maybe just focusing more on High Limit is the thing that he needs to be doing right now. And, the last couple of weeks he's been, doing a little R&R, I guess you could say, and just hanging out.
One guy we need to keep our eye on is Tanner Thorson. He went down to Texas Motor Speedway Dirt Track this weekend, come up with a couple of second-place finishes behind Aaron Reitzel. So Tanner may be one to watch down there at Texas coming up here at the season finale. What do you think?
Yeah, it was definitely a surprise to see him down there. When we say that Tanner Thorson is a full-time High Limit guy, that could not be more true. He does not race much outside of High Limit. I think he's ran maybe outside of High Limit. He ran the Nationals, the Kings Royal, and I think he ran one other race outside of High Limit. So it was definitely a surprise to see him go down there to Texas and race a couple times. But obviously he was learning some stuff, 2 second-place runs. Hopefully that'll, prove to be a good move when we get down there on Friday and Saturday. Also can't count him out at Lucas Oil Speedway. He is going to be locked into the heat races because of that first night we ran back, when we first ran this race, that it was a 2-day show. He was inside the top 4, so he will not have to qualify for Wednesday night's program. He'll be automatically starting 4th in the heat race and could be in the dash. So he could be a factor at Lucas Oil as well.
Hey, what do you think about Brady Bacon going full-time wing sprint car racing next year?
Well, I think it's about time. I think that was what a lot of people said when they saw that news. It's about time that Brady, did something different. He's been a USAC guy for, I think 10 or 11 years in a row, full-time on the sprint car tour. And I think that he knows that he can get the job done with the wing on top and might as well do that full-time and make a lot more money while doing it,
Right.
The guy's ran 25 races this year with the wing on, and he's, made like $65,000 or $70,000. He's ran however many times with the wing not on the car and has made $100,000, which is going to be way more races than what he's ran with the wing on, So I think he's starting to realize, he's doing some math and running some numbers and thinking, hey, if I, did this, I'd be making a whole lot more money. And like I said, I think it's about time that he made that jump. He's a guy that can contend each and every night, no matter the series, no matter the racetrack. We saw him make the Knoxville Nationals. We saw him make the Kings Royal. He's won an outlaw race each of the last 2 years. I am very, very excited for him to be a full-time wing guy next year. The only thing I wish I could ask for more is if he was on some kind of national tour. I think he'd be a pretty big draw for fans, especially guys that, when they get around the Indiana area, they're going to want to see Brady Bacon. I think he could be a big draw for fans for a series, but maybe that's in the cards for next year.
Well, one guy that is going to be full-time on the High Limit racing next year is Dazen Persley, who set the world on fire in USAC this year, leading the USAC midget points. He's won in every type of car this year, winged and non-winged sprint cars, midgets, Silver Crown cars. He's going to Buick Motorsports next year. What do you think about that move?
Yeah, it's definitely exciting. Just to get a talent like him, a guy that we see a lot without the wing on top of the car, obviously, and we see him, exceed and excel and all that stuff. And he's very fast, obviously, and he's proven very quickly that he can get it done in a wing car as well. He got that win at Houston Speedway, ran 9th against the Outlaws at Brad Doty Classic, a pretty big race. And, doing it in a car that doesn't race a ton throughout the year, in that Eikenberry car. So for him to go to a very established team, a team that knows what to do when they get to the racetrack, they've got a pretty big setup book and all that stuff. I think it's going to be a really interesting pairing to watch. Now, do I think he's going to win it all next year? I don't think he'll win a race, but I think that it's going to be a very big learning year, and I think that Tom Buch knows what the deal is, that they're going to have some growing pains, probably going to tear up a couple cars, and he's going to be learning a lot about how the cars, react and things like that, because he's only got, 16, 17, 410 races under his belt, right? So he's still got a lot to learn. But I think there's a good basis there. I think the ceiling is very high for Dason Persley, and I'm excited to see how it all works out. He's an exciting prospect in racing right now, and to see him make this big jump is very cool to see. So I wonder if anybody else, like Persley, like Bacon, will make that move from wing or to non-wing to wing and try and chase some more money and some more glory, because those two guys are spearheading that right now, and I think it's maybe making a couple of those other guys think about what they're doing right now.
What happens to Justin Peck? Where's he going?
Well, it does sound like, a lot of people have been mentioning that he could be taking over the CJB car for Spencer Bayston. Obviously, none of that has been officially announced or anything like that, but, that kind of seems to be the place that Peck could be going. Will he run High Limit? Will he run the Outlaws? It kind of sounds like they're more leaning towards the Outlaws, but that's also not official. Obviously, they need to announce the driver. Then they need to announce the series, which, to me makes it a little bit more fun. Silly season's already fun, but then you got to try and figure out what series you're going to run, right? So that makes it, adds a little more of a wrinkle into it too. So we'll have to wait and see what all shakes out. But the hot rumor right now is Peck to the CJB5, and then who knows where Spencer Bayston goes. But it sounds like he's got something lined up as well. It's going to be fun to see what shakes out here.
Chase Rodman, the voice of the Kubota High Limit Series. I got one more night to go down at Texas Motor Speedway Dirt Track. We'll be watching that on Flow Racing tonight. See if Brad Sweet keep his winning streak going down there. He's run pretty good right now, isn't he?
He is. Three in a row.
Yeah, he's got it going on. Different kinds. They're different types of racetracks too.
Why is tonight $50,000?
Season finale. They're trying to build this up, kind of like what the Outlaws have with the World Finals down at Charlotte.
Right.
They're trying to build this event up into that type of an event. Now, they've got some work to do to get there. The crowd last night, that grandstand seats a lot down there at Texas Motor Speedway Dirt Track. It was maybe bigger than I expected on a Friday night. What did you think of the crowd that they had down there? It wasn't full by any means, but for Friday night, I thought it was a little bigger than I expected.
I think that the crowd at Texas Motor Speedway, are you talking about?
Yeah.
I don't think that crowd, the grandstands are so big down there.
Oh, yeah.
And I've been down there. I've been down there with 10,000 people in the grandstands before.
Is that what that seats? That seats more than that, doesn't it?
No, it seats a lot more than that.
That's what I'm thinking.
Right.
Yeah, you know that track very well. And we need the Texas Motor Speedway Dirt Track to be a big track because we no longer have the Devil's Bowl Speedway. We don't have Devil's Bowl Speedway anymore. So there's a need for the Texas Motor Speedway Dirt Track to become the facility in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So I think, Brad's comments to me the other night down at Wheatland, he knows that you got to build over time. You got to be committed to it. You're not going to get to where you want to be overnight. It's going to take them some time to build that up, but if they're committed to it and they've got, the track operators, SMI Motorsports that own the Texas Motor Speedway Dirt Track are committed to it. I think over time maybe they can build that up. I'm not going to say it's ever going to be as big as what they've got at the World Finals at Charlotte, but they can still make this into a pretty major event for the High Limit Series.
I don't think they'll ever get to where the World Finals.
I don't think so either because the difference is the World Finals, they have late models and the big block modifieds as part of that show down there, and I don't think that's what they're looking for here unless they continue their relationship with the Lucas Oil Late Model Series and build up something with those guys, but I don't see that happening right away. So we'll see what kind of a crowd shows up at Fort Worth tonight. And they got their banquet tomorrow. And I like it that the High Limit is wrapping up their season early.
Right.
And so they get their first season out of the way. And you got to be honest, Scott, and say that it's been a successful year for the High Limit Series in their inaugural first season. I think if you look at it from an objective point of view, they've had a great season for the first season, don't you think?
I think they've had an awesome season.
Yeah.
Hey, I just want to check in. We got a lot of people checking in on the comment section. We appreciate everybody. We got a lot of comments today. One of the questions was, any news on Carter Holt?
We were at I-70 the other, of course, that's where Carter Holt was injured in a terrible accident a couple of weeks ago in a 305 sprint car. The same night they ran the POWRi 410 sprint cars there. Carter Holt was involved in an incident where his car got sideways in the racetrack and was T-boned by another car, and serious injuries. He was life-flighted out. I haven't heard an official update on Carter other than to say they passed the helmets around. We saw Brian Brown and other drivers up in the grandstand passing helmets, raising money for the Carter Holt family. They're going to need a lot of prayers and a lot of financial help as Carter goes through a long recovery process. So we just pray that he gets better at some point, and the money raised really helps their family out a lot, because
that was a bad deal.
Has anybody reached out to the Steve King Foundation for them at all either? Do you know? Because they do help injured drivers.
Yeah.
So,
and I'm sure they're involved.
Yeah.
I would guarantee that they're involved in it too. People. So just prayers for Carter Holt. That's your worst fear, Scott. Car gets sideways in the racetrack, T-boned by another car. That's your worst fear.
Yep.
That and fire. Those are just not what you want.
Fire is the most dangerous thing. Every driver thinks about fire.
Yeah, fire's first, and then that T-bone when you're defenseless is the two things that. Also, Kelly from Central Point and Marvin from Miamisburg, Ohio. We appreciate you checking in. And Marie, she's heading out to. I think Marie's heading out to Lincoln Speedway. So
big night tonight. World of Outlaws, Lincoln Speedway tonight.
So we got all that going on, and then we'll have all the updates on Mondays, mostly motorsports. The new podcast on Monday will be live.
Got Buddy Kofoid as one of our guests.
That's right.
So
it'll be, and then like I said, we're going to do a season wrap up with Chase Rodman probably. He's going to be flying, so
we'll have him later in the show because he's going to be on an airplane until the scheduled landing time at Chicago O'Hare at 1:30 in the afternoon.
So hopefully
everything goes according to plan.
Yeah, fingers
and we'll
crossed.
Get Chase Rodman on later in the show on Monday.
But we got Connor Wade next week, and we got Connor Wade from last week. We still have.
We do.
Hey, Kirk, what about Brady Bacon going winged racing? What do you think? Where do you think he's going to run? Do you think he's going to run with the World of Outlaws, or do you think he's going to run with the High Limit Series?
I think he's going to be like Brian Brown and not pick and choose. I think he's going to go wherever he wants to go, and I don't see Brady picking a side in that next year. I think he's going to run a true outlaw schedule. That's what I think. Because he's going to be in two different race cars. He's going to be in the 21 Hink car, but I think he's going to be in another car too. And he still wants to run some non-wing shows on occasion too. So I think it's going to be a wide open schedule for Brady next year.
All right, Connor Wade.
Connor Wade is the pit reporter for Dirt Vision's coverage of the World of Outlaws. Last weekend was a crown jewel event at Williams Grove Speedway. Carson Macedo, the winner, and Connor Wade talks about what happened at Williams Grove and a preview of Lincoln Speedway tonight. It's amazing the difference between the two shows that was run. You had to finish up on Saturday afternoon because of the fog on Friday night, but just to see where the top three finishers ran earlier in the day, it is like night and day. You had Carson Macedo, who's finished 12th in the afternoon. You had Sheldon finished 14th after starting 22nd, and Brad Sweet, who ended up third, maybe the fastest car on the racetrack, started 19th and ended up in 26th in the afternoon show. Man, what a difference daytime to nighttime can make, at least where the top three finishers on Saturday night were concerned.
Yeah, for sure. Williams Grove is one of those places that I feel like your pill draw at the beginning of the day is pretty important, and because qualifying is so important, and qualifying specifically, so those guys, honestly, all three of the top three just kind of started on qualifying. You can call it bad pill draw, you can call it whatever you want to call it. Just had poor qualifying efforts on Friday night. And then obviously that carried over into the day program on Saturday. And then all three of them qualified much, much better. Sheldon specifically went out really late. I think he was the last car out to go out in Flight B and qualified fourth. So, just it all comes down to qualifying. You ask any driver in that pit area, all 58 of them will tell you that if you want to win at Williams Grove or you want to run up front, you've got to qualify well. So, I feel like you see that a lot at Williams Grove. It's tough for guys to be consistent at that place. You'll see a lot of guys that win one night and run 18th the next and vice versa. So that's honestly kind of makes it, interesting to watch at times, in my opinion.
Yeah, and the other side of it, Betty Kofoid and Darren Pittman, the top two finishers on Saturday, not so good in the nighttime session.
Yeah, both of them upside down in their heat race. I really felt bad for both of them, but for Darren for sure. He's ran second in that race 6 times. He needs to win that race. It's just one that he's performed so well at, and he's raced a lot in the Pennsylvania area. It's weird that he doesn't have a National Open win, and it would be fitting for him to win it. And I thought this was the year. Just the way that they ran at Knoxville this year. The speed that he and the 69K have had anytime they've been together. And then they were really solid on the Friday program as well. So I really thought this was the year. And then, he just flipped that tire there in the heat race and got upside down. And when you flip in the heat race, your night, is pretty much gone. And then Buddy, I don't remember exactly what happened, but I remember he was running the top there in 3 and 4 and either caught a rut or got into somebody, and hated that for him. There was a lot of damage on that car that they had to fix to get him back out.
Man, that Chase Deese wreck was a pretty gnarly wreck, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. He and Sheldon battling for a spot there early on, and Chase is another one I hated it for. A local Pennsylvania posse guy that has been really, really consistent in 2024 and gotten a lot better. And has kind of gotten to the point where he can come to an outlaw race or a high-limit race when high limits in that area and contend and have solid showing. So I was really happy for him to see him run so well. And hate that it ended like that, but, we go back to Lincoln this weekend, and I think Chase will be a contender there. That's another good track of his that he's won at this year. And, I think he'll continue to rise to be one of the best in Pennsylvania for sure.
Donnie Schatz had a pretty challenging night too. Did they have to change an engine in that car?
Hey, did they have an engine problem when they had a left front shock? That was the problem.
That was the beginning of the feature.
Well, they changed the motor before the feature.
Yeah.
So in between the heat race and the feature, they changed the motor and then had the shock problem early on in the feature. I don't know if they had some contacts or if it broke before they went out or what exactly happened. But, it's kind of a tough night all around for them. They were all right Friday afternoon, gained a lot of spots. I think he ended up 5th or 6th in the Friday feature that was ran Saturday afternoon. And then, honestly, the 15 team's kind of been in a slump as of late. Even, back to California, they kind of struggled a little bit. And outside of Friday's feature, not a great Williams Grove weekend either. So, they've had speed all year, and hopefully they can get back to form. Tough National Open for him for sure.
He started dead last, and he ended up running 12th.
We got up there.
That was a pretty good run for him, wasn't it?
He got up to as high as 8th at one point, did he not?
I think so. He would tell you he wanted to be up there towards the front. Obviously gained some spots, and it helped that some other cars, wrecked out. I don't remember exactly what he got up to, but
he was in the top 10.
He ended up all right, all things considered.
Bill Balog, what a run he had, 27th to 9th.
Yeah, he was great. He was fun to watch. He just always seems to put on a show one way or another, even if he's not running up front. So I've had a lot of fun watching and covering Bill on the tour this year. He's had some great runs and some big races, from Knoxville to Huset's, where he was on the podium, and then, charging up through the field there. Super happy for Bill. And, Pennsylvania is not really his stomping grounds. It's an area he's not super familiar with. So to see him go and do that was pretty cool. I'm really, really happy for him. He's a guy that deserves it.
Saturday night, not at Selinsgrove, you're at Lincoln Speedway, which is south of Williams Grove Speedway. That's going to be an interesting night of racing, but we just got one race this weekend, right?
Yeah, for sure. Just one on Saturday to make up for the Selinsgrove cancellation earlier on in the season. We were at Lincoln once already this year. David Gravel won. Gio and Carson were on the podium, and both of those two, honestly, were pretty good and easily could have won that race. Looking back, David got the lead early. I think he led every lap of that race, actually, but Gio and Carson were right there battling with him. So Gio's a guy that kind of could use a bounce-back weekend after 2 DNFs, so I'd look for him to turn it around, and $20,000 on the line, too. So a one-day show for $20K is pretty cool stuff.
We don't have a flagman up in the stand at Lincoln, right? Don't they do the virtual flagman?
Yeah, that's right. Virtual flagman.
That's going to be a fun night.
Hey, I don't like that.
I don't either. But
I don't like it at all. I can't stand it. I just never understand why
old guys.
somebody would get rid of a flagman.
Yeah, we're old guys. We don't. We still like the flag.
I mean, honestly, the series nor the drivers really said that it made much of a difference. So I don't know that it's a big deal at the end of the day, but I do understand. I mean, it's definitely a weird adjustment. I mean, you go to a racetrack your entire life, like I have, and like you guys both have, and see a flagman standing there. So I get how it's weird and different to not have one. It definitely is kind of awkward, but I don't really know if it makes a big difference at the end of the day, honestly. To me, it doesn't matter, truthfully.
What are the other big storylines coming out of Williams Grove and the National Open this weekend that we haven't already talked about?
You look at points. Obviously, there were Carson gained a little bit on David. It's 86. I still think it's David to lose without a doubt. I don't see David having the amount of bad nights that Carson needs him to have in order for Carson to get him. So, maybe Carson will get a little closer. I'm sure Carson's not done winning yet. But David's too consistent. He's not going to lose 86 points in however many races we have left. But if you look to third and fourth, Kofoid is only 66 points back of Donnie. So maybe Buddy could sneak onto the podium in points here towards the end of the year. And Sheldon opened up a little bit on Schuhart for sixth in points. So we'll see if Logan can kind of get back closer to Sheldon at his home track. But I'm really interested to see if Buddy can get Donnie for third. That'd be huge. That'd be the highest finish in points by a rookie ever. And, the way Buddy's been running lately and the way Donnie's kind of been struggling lately, I think that'll be a interesting battle to watch here late in the year.
Carson Macedo told us that he thought that he had a chance to reel in David Gravel over the next 8 races.
But he said he wouldn't be racing unless he believed it, right?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, and that's a good mentality for Carson to have. I mean, if I were Carson or if I were Phil or anybody at JJR, my motto would be, we're not out of it till we're out of it. So, he does have a shot. If he all he can do is keep winning. He's going to need David to have bad nights, but he can't control that. All he can control is what he does, and I think he'll continue to win and continue to run good. And in his case, he just, like I said, needs a little bit of help from David. So it'll be interesting to watch these last couple of weeks.
Is Gravel points racing right now? Is he doing anything different than he always has, or is he just trying to preserve this championship?
Yeah, I think he is, honestly, and he probably wouldn't admit it, but I think he's points racing. He's not, trying too hard. He's not doing anything crazy. He's just having solid and consistent runs and not letting, the heat of the moment get to him and, just kind of relaxing, honestly. I mean, when your car is as good as his is, you can kind of do that. So I think he's just trying to be really, really conservative and just wrap up that championship. He's been leading in late in the year before and gave it away, so I think he's being real careful not to do that. But I mean, he's kind of earned the right to conserve a little bit based off of how good they've been all season long and the point lead that they've built up.
I'm interested in Route 66, the oval track. That's up there by Joliet. Tell us about that facility, where you're going here, not this weekend, but next week.
I had heard of Joliet several years ago. I think we all had. I want to say around 2017 or 18, they were kind of on the rise. They had USAC midget races, all-star races. I think a couple World of Outlaws races, if I'm not mistaken. And then they kind of went off the map for several years. You didn't really hear much out of them.
Yeah.
I honestly didn't even know they were still open. I think they've had some, monster trucks and stuff like that run around a configuration in the infield, a course that they built. So I don't really know how much oval track racing that they've had. I've got their schedule for the season pulled up on my race pass right now, and I see looks like a monster truck event on July 13th, and the only other events on the calendar are our races on October 18th and 19th. So I don't know much really about it. I don't know how much racing they've had on it the last couple of years, but I've heard it's a nice facility, obviously being pretty close to the NASCAR track there in Joliet. So looks like the Summer Nationals ran there back in 2021, so it seems that they've had racing on it somewhat recently. So, it should be interesting to see what that place is like.
And then the week after that, they're going to be at the Riverside, the Ditch at West Memphis, and then a week off, and then the World Finals at Charlotte. So that's what's left on the World of Outlaws Tour. Are you surprised, we talked about this in the first hour, that Don Kreitz decided to head west to Texas Motor Speedway dirt track with a World of Outlaw event just down the road at Lincoln Speedway tonight?
The 69K
car. We didn't see him at I-70 or Wheatland, but yet they show up at Texas Motor Speedway dirt track with Darren Pittman behind the wheel. You'd think the 69 car would stay home and run with the Outlaws at Lincoln Speedway tonight, but what do I know?
Darren Pittman give Brad Sweet a run, didn't he?
So...
Yep.
But they're paying a lot of money tonight down at Texas Motor Speedway dirt track, so there's that. But probably the biggest surprise to me is if they're going to bring that team out from Pennsylvania with Darren Pittman behind the wheel. Why wouldn't they be at I-70 on Tuesday and Lucas Oil Speedway on Wednesday night?
That's puzzling to me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I'm shocked. So, but anyway, Darren Pittman's got a chance to win that race tonight. He had a good race car last night, and we'll see what happens. Do you watch any of the Super Dirt Week on Dirt Vision, Scott? The big block modifieds in action. Super Dirt Week at Oswego Speedway out in New York State. That's always a big event. Do you watch any of that?
No, I didn't watch any of it.
The big block modified. Last night, Matt Williamson won the race at Oswego. This is a 150 lapper for the Super Dirt Car Series. And today they'll run a 200 lapper. It'll be the 200 to wrap up Super Dirt Week tonight at Oswego Speedway. And Matt Williams, of course, is one of the heavy hitters that is expected to do well today, and Matt Shepard would be the other guy that you want to keep your eye on. He finished second last night. Stuart Friesen was third last night. So those three right there are the solid favorites going in tonight at Oswego.
Hey, Kirk, they're racing on the Roval today.
Today and tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Charlotte Motor Speedway. They changed the configuration of the Roval from last year. Did you see what they did?
I didn't see that.
They've changed, it's a little bit sharper turn to get back out onto the big racetrack from the infield than it was before. I'm not sure why they made this change, so it'll be interesting to see how that all plays out. for the NASCAR Cup Series, as we've got 5 races to go now in the Cup Series, and everybody's going to be keeping an eye on the point standings as we go through the next 5 races. Of course, this is the cutoff race. We get it down to 8 drivers after tomorrow at the Roval. A.J. Allmendinger, the non-playoff driver, won this race last year. The 4 drivers that are on the outside looking in right now are Joey Logano, -13, Daniel Suarez, -20, Austin Cindric, -29, and Chase Briscoe, -32. I think all 4 of those drivers have to win, and I don't see any of these 4 drivers having a chance to win. Chase Elliott is +13, Tyler Reddick +14, Ryan Blaney +25, Alex Bowman +26, Denny Hamlin +30, Kyle Larson +52, Christopher Bell +57, William Byron +74. I think Byron, Bell are already locked into the next round. Larson's in pretty good shape, but Chase Elliott, I don't know. He's got to have a good. He's a 2-time winner at the Roval. My guess is the 4 that are outside looking in will stay the 4 outside looking in. Logano, Suarez, Cindric, and Briscoe. We'll see what happens. The Xfinity race today, Cup Series tomorrow.
Right.
So
all right, thanks everybody for tuning in to Track Talk here on RBN, the Racing Boys Broadcasting Network. It's all been brought to you by Rod End Supply, featuring the POWRi Midwest Lightning Sprints. And we
just to wrap up the NASCAR, is this a lot to do about nothing on this vehicle? Towing cars to the garage or back to the pits. NASCAR had a hell of a mess on their hands.
They did.
After we were out of Kansas Speedway and Josh Berry was pulled to the infield, the campground, and they were livid. They said that they could have got their car back out on the racetrack.
Josh Berry, the drag link was broken on the back end.
They couldn't have made it anyway, right?
No.
So, but a lot of these crew chiefs are telling these drivers over the radio, hang on to don't let them put the window net down. Do not get out of your race car. I think NASCAR created its own mess there. I think they've straightened that out by they're going to allow, just like they did last week at Talladega, allow these guys to drag their cars back to pit road and that's the way it should be. The team should decide whether or not they're out of the race. I know they got the clock that runs out if you can't get it fixed in time, but NASCAR shouldn't be deciding whether or not these guys can't come out and race again. That's my opinion about that. What do you think?
No, I agree with you on that one, Kurt.
So that's our NASCAR talk for the week, right?
Yep.
We got it in.
That's it.
We got it in. It's
big drag race this weekend down at Texas Motorplex. The NHRA, that's one of my favorite places. Been down there before at the Texas Motorplex. I thought about going down there this year, but I just couldn't make it work out. But Austin Prock continues on a roll as he is the number 1 qualifier after Friday night qualifying at the Texas Motorplex last night. And other in the number 1 spot is Brittany Force in Top Fuel, Greg Anderson in Pro Stock, and Gage Herrera in Pro Stock Motorcycles. So keep an eye on that on Fox and FS1 the rest of the weekend down at the all-concrete Texas Motorplex down south of Dallas. I think it's about a half hour south of Dallas, if I recall.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Again, it's all been brought to you by Rod End Supply, featuring the POWRi Midwest Lightning Sprints. We want to thank our guests, Carson Macedo, Connor Wade, Chase Rodman, Brad Sweet, Ryan Timms, James McFadden as well.
And Monday, Buddy Kofoid.
Buddy Kofoid will be on with us on Monday on Mostly Motorsports.
And I'm hoping Cannon McIntosh, too.
Cannon
so
McIntosh.
On that.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. For Todd Surprise, for Kirk Elliott, I'm Scott Traylor saying thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week right here on Track Talk.
harder, faster, stronger with Rod End Supply. Whether you are running industrial, farming equipment, or a race car, Rod End Supply has the assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products that will help you lead the field in performance. Our superior design means our rod ends last longer and perform better, giving you the edge on the track and saving you money. Contact Rod End Supply or order online today at rodendsupply.com. We don't just sell them, we race them. rodendsupply.com. Serving the racing community for over 30 years.